Hey guys, wanted to go ahead and do a review on the Ruta 10, and to go from there, just want to let you know that there's going to be some notes on the screen. Please note that whatever is in the notes is usually pretty different from the video, and they're meant to be complimentary, so to say. Okay, yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about the Ruta 10, and to go from there. I bought this because this is really cheap, $20, and there's not a lot of information about it. I mean, I would say a lot of the videos that are out are either one of two things. Number one, it's promotion-y and flowery language, like, oh, it's great at this, or it's just someone who just doesn't know how to illustrate what it sounds like in a way that I can understand. So I'm just going to do this in a way where, like, if someone was going to teach me how I think this sounds like, I'm going to use my words and explain it to you this way. Okay, so in terms of what you get, the cable is actually pretty good. Kind of reminds you like the Sennheiser IE200 cable, kind of thinnish, but not that thin. The ear tips that come with it look pretty sad. I mean, I looked at it, I was like, man, these look pretty, like the video doesn't do it justice. You have to look at it in person. It's pretty sad looking. But I want to let you know this video was only evaluated using the stock ear tips, because my rationale is the ear tips, I mean, the IEM itself is $20. I'm not going to tell you to go buy like a $20 set of ear tips. You know, that just doesn't make sense. So please note that my review is based only on the stock ear tips. Okay, so the bass on here, I ranked it a grade of C as an average. I think the bass just sounds not that great, but it doesn't sound terrible. It's just kind of like, if I had explained this in the best way I can explain it, it doesn't have power and punch. It doesn't have like that hammer effect. It doesn't, but it doesn't even have bloom. It just sounds slashy. Like the bass is like very slashy, but done in a way where it's just enough where I wouldn't call it a fail. It's kind of like, it's rather than boomy and hammery and punchy, it's slashy is like the way I can explain it. So to me, it's a grade of C. Sub bass is a little bit above correct. So let me explain what I mean by that. So imagine this right here is how the people who made the music wanted the sub bass, you know, in the background to sound like. So this is correct. And then this is above correct. And then this is Beats by Dre, like, you know what I mean? And then this is like polite. And then this is like where the sub bass at. So the way it sounds is it sounds not neutral, like in the tonality of it. It sounds a little bit above correct, but it sounds like someone got those speakers and pushed it farther back in the room. That's what it sounds like. When you listen to the tonality of it, it's not neutral, but it's pushed back in the far end of the room. So in other words, even the sub bass is somewhere between polite, like right here, as in it's not enough sub bass, and also it's tuned a little bit bright, like lower down, right? So again, not the best bass. In terms of female vocals, I don't like the way they sound. They sound thin and synthetic, and a little bit bright slanted. There's like a slight just synthetic tonality and a little bit sharpness to it. But immediately I knew right away, at least in my opinion, what this kind of IEM sounds like. This is old school, crappy 2019 Harman. Basically kind of V-shaped. You know, they really bumped up the treble, the bass and the treble, and then the mids, the vocals suffer. And usually what happens is male vocals are always okay, but it's usually the female vocals that suffer. One of the two suffers, always. In this case, female vocals do not sound very good. So to me, it's a fail. This is a F. This is below average. So I would say female vocals are not up to par. Male vocals, on the other hand, I would say were okay. Like basically, they don't sound like they're still a little thin sounding in my opinion, but just ever so slightly. But the issue is with male vocals, they sound nasal. So I'm just going to kind of do this. They kind of sound like this, right? Everyone kind of sounds a little bit nasal. And that usually happens when you use, like, it just sounds like the mids are cranked up too much on it. I don't know what it is, but you know, it just has a very nasal tonality. Everybody sounds a little nasal, to my ears. In terms of soundstage, I thought it was pretty average. I didn't think it was spectacular, but I didn't think it was bad. In terms of comfort, this is S tier. Extremely comfortable. In terms of sibilance.
Okay, I gotta go somewhere, so can we make this quick?
Business conference. $100. The C214 is the base mic.
Now, this is what I found pretty shocking. This is actually pretty surprising to me. I was expecting the sibilance scores to be really bad, and especially because when I actually was testing this on some female soundtracks and music and K-pop, like this song Luna was really harsh on these. You know, and so I was thinking, oh, this is going to totally fail sibilance. But the funny thing is, when you look at the scores, none of them actually get to like very high or painful. Because my scale is like 0, low, medium, and then high, very high, and painful. Some tracks can definitely get up to like high or very high or painful. I noticed that only about, for the most part, it doesn't have that much sibilance. It's more like, no, it does have sibilance, but what I mean is like it doesn't get painful and it doesn't get to very high, which I found kind of shocking. And then later I actually wrote this in the notes. It's not that this has really painful sibilance. It is more like it's just annoying throughout. Let me give you a bad analogy. This is that goddamn freaking like tag right on your neck that you can't ever take off, and you have no scissors and you can't rip it out. And it's always there just nagging your neck. It's not hurting you, but it's nagging your neck right there. That's what this is. Everything sounds where it's just ever so slightly sibilant. It won't sound harsh and sibilant. It will just sound unpleasant. That's just the way it's like everything that's supposed to sound remotely sibilant won't sound sibilant. It just sounds unpleasant on this. So as a whole, many things just don't sound very pleasant on these IEMs. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on how this sounds like, and we'll go from there. All right, bye.